Hi, it's Juliana and Jessica back again for another fantastic conversation. We're super excited to be with you today. And we have a special project that we're getting ready to start April 2nd. Yay. Firelight Alchemy Circle is coming April 2nd, and it will continue well beyond that. And we were just chatting about why we are doing Firelight Alchemy Circle and wanted to share some of those reasons why. So Jessica, starting with you, what do you think when you were first starting your journey? Um, in your case, a seeker learner in the beginning, and myself too. What kind of things were you challenged with at that time?
The biggest challenge I think that I had was that everything that I was learning kind of butted right up against my dogma, the belief systems that I had been raised in and kind of cultivated my self-awareness in were being directly opposed. So that meant that now I'm just kind of like this little island all by myself because all of the people that I had surrounded myself with, all of, my family, friends were deeply embedded into those sort of dogmatic beliefs. And I didn't know who to relate to. And if I tried to talk about any of the things that I was learning, most of the people around me were like, slow down. We don't know what we don't know what you're talking about, or oh, that's not right. That's devil worship or sorcery or a whole litany of things. And honestly, it was just very isolating, very, very isolating.
Yeah, yeah, that I think that's a fairly common story.
Mhm.
Maybe with different sort of different personal challenges. I'd say mine similarly was I had started to challenge the limitation of what I had been told. There was this sort of like pull to there's more, there's bigger, there's there's more that you can do. And I had started my health journey. So I had started with the physical healing and kept, to your point, bumping up against everybody else's limitations. Oh no, you can't heal that with herbs. You have to have the pharmaceuticals, or you need a surgery for that. You can't heal that another way, or you're always going to need pain medication. So what I was running up against was their limitations. And I said, I just don't feel that limited. I don't know what there is more to know, but I know that there's more. And so those limitations meant that I stopped connecting into some of the groups and the people and the places that I had been a big part of, so that I could explore something that was bigger and different. And to your point, was a big problem in the communities I was in the groups that I was in. The idea that I'd be reading something like the biology of belief, which speaks to the power and the magic we have in and of ourselves. But I couldn't share that with anybody that I had been spending time with. So that in and of itself was a big challenge. And I would have loved to have had sort of this go-to group out in social media, in the world, wherever, to say, hey, I was reading about this. Anybody got any insight? What do you think about that? What's your experience with it? And there wasn't anybody to ask at that point in time.
Yeah. Well, and I think it kind of speaks a little bit to that sort of innate fear that we have of being ostracized from the group. Ancestrally, we needed that group. We needed that sense of community to be safe and protected, because if you were cast out of the group, then you had to fend for yourself and you might not have survived.
Right.
But now we have this weird dynamic with social media, and everyone's already kind of isolated as it is, even though it's supposed to be social, socialization and being together supposed to be easier with social media, but it seems like it's gotten much worse. And then on top of that, you have this kind of keyboard warrior mentality pervasive in all of social media, where if you do post something trying to reach out, trying to find your community, other people that are interested in these things that you're interested in, then suddenly someone has to put in their 2 cents. Someone puts in their opinion, and now you just feel like you're shut down and you don't want to share it because you're afraid of, being completely ostracized.
Yeah. Yeah. So you go back to hiding these things. You go back to,
Yeah.
operating in secret, if you
Or
will.
trying to go back to sleep, but you can't.
Yes, you can't.
You
Uh,
can't. Once you see it, it can't be unseen.
well, and so to that point, you see it and you go, well, that's really fascinating. I'm going to explore it, and then it lures you. I mean, it just is more of like a draw, a fascination, and in encouraging you to learning more. But then that opens to more concepts and ideas and words and language that you go, I don't even know what that means. Like, what does it mean, levels of consciousness? Like, I'm conscious. I'm not unconscious. Nobody knocked me out. What does that mean, levels of consciousness? And so you get into this exploration, and there are all these different conversations around every topic that can be had. And even those have different, perceptions, and people are like, well, I see it this way, and other people see it that way. Um, and so getting into that conversation of conversation is also really nice to have a community of people that without judgment and without limitation can help you kind of walk into that understanding a little bit better.
This path is a very expansive energy. Like you said, it builds on itself, and oh, there's this new concept, and this rabbit hole leads somewhere completely different. And it very much kind of reminds me of just the whole fractalization of the universe. The way I
Yeah.
see energy is just kind of like how a tree grows and new branches sprout, and then you have more things going on and so much going on. Right now, I'm actually learning Sanskrit so that I can more effectively study the Yoga Sutras, the Upanishad, things like that, because I want
Oh,
to go deeper into that. So, but it's this constant journey of expansion and growth, and coming up against concepts that you've never heard of or that seem completely foreign or even alien.
yeah,
And how do you navigate that when you're all by yourself and you have no one to talk to about it?
right. Yeah, and I think that too, it challenges so much of what so it challenges the sort of the worldview of normal society. So in challenging that worldview, right, you need to be able to get in conversation with people that are okay with challenging the worldview, that are also challenging their own worldview. I read a book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, Vishen Lakhani, very early on. And part of that challenge is question everything that you believe, question everything that you've been taught, question the limitations that have been given to you. And the beautiful part about that questioning in something like the Firelight Alchemy Circle is that you get to question along with other people. You're not questioning it alone in a vacuum. Echo chambers are challenging because you only hear your own voice, when you could have this like limitless opportunity to have a conversation about, hey, I was reading the Nagamati, or I was reading the sutras or something like that. I came across this. It got me thinking about this. What do you think about that? And all of a sudden, this beautiful conversation starts that just expands and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And we talk about awakening and enlightening. We talk about unity and collective and the singularity and one energy, etc. And all boats rising. We do that when we're collective and community, and we don't do it anymore. There aren't the guys hanging out on the street corner talking about all of, the philosophies of life any longer. We need that.
Well, and I think too, especially in my experience, coming from a community of, kind of centered around a belief system, there was sort of that water cooler kind of vibe. You had the chance to congregate around the donuts and coffee and have
Right?
conversations about what you learned in the sermon. And then you go into this sort of isolating self-study, and the self-study in many cultures and beliefs is essential to spiritual growth. But it's
Yes.
almost as if you end up in this sort of spiritual psychosis if you don't have the community around you to be able to kind of bounce the ideas off of. And
Right.
also, I think, at least in my experience, I'll be learning something that seems completely different than what a friend will be learning about, but the ideas are cohesive and we can bring them together in a way that expands our understanding of the topic entirely, just simply because one person was studying it differently than the other person. So I find
Yeah.
that really helpful as well.
Yeah. I love the word inner standing,
Mm,
right? Because the idea is that we're bringing ourselves back to ourselves, our inner standing, um, versus standing under some belief system. We are our own belief system. The thing that I think when we were talking about naming Firelight Alchemy Circle is I think about indigenous cultures. And even what I'm starting to see a resurgence of in retreats and retreat centers and things like that is that people will say an example, someone would have a dream overnight, and that dream would possibly have a message for them. They would go around the firelight. They would, whether it was morning, breakfast, or evening at night, it doesn't have to be in the dark, but they would circle around the fire and they would share those dreams. And then together they would find meaning in them and application to their lives and begin to shift or change, help them make decisions. The red tent, the idea that women would, during menstrual cycle, all women of the village would go into this red tent. Those that were menstruating would menstruate. Those that were pregnant would learn about raising children. The new wives would learn from the experienced wives. They would share their skills and techniques and life experiences, and it made the transitions of life. It made the potentially difficult things of life that we deal with today on our own, or with people that have the same limited paradigms that we do, by expanding that and going, I want to hear what everybody else experienced on this and then decide how I want to handle it. And you're no longer navigating life on your own. And life gets a whole lot easier when you know that you can pop into a group and say, I'm struggling with this. Anybody have any ideas? And
mm,
then you can get all these ideas. You can look at the 30 ideas you get and you go, oh, I like that one, and that one. Let me put these together and I'll make this happen in my life. That is the nature of alchemy, right? So alchemy is the bringing of multiple things together, create something new. The masculine energy, the feminine energy creates something new. And that's what alchemy is about. And that to me is why this circle is going to have such impact on people in their own every practical everyday navigating life and making it easier.
I agree. Really going to help.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for this. I'm so
me
excited to
too.
be able to link arms with my tribe,
Yeah,
my people who are ready to move forward and bring in this kind of new era it's been dawning for a while, and I think we've seen a lot more people kind of waking up to some of these concepts, especially within the last 5 years.
sure.
But I know that for a lot of people, it's still very scary, very new, and they may probably have some insecurities about it or kind of feel like little children. They're not really sure what to do. And I know that you and I are kind of handling two different aspects of this, and I'm really looking forward to being able to leading the folks that are a little bit newer to it and kind of get that basis, that foundation of concepts into their minds and into their hands so that they're able to have those discussions within our group. And then when they're ready, they can move into your group that's more of this, being able to step into that power and use that and work through these healing opportunities with people in more of a leader or a mentorship kind of role. And that's so exciting because I know that we're just going to see more and more healers come out of this. And I just can't wait.
Yes. I love that you use the word leader because I think that we need a new paradigm in leadership. Um, Leaders, we have this pyramid model of leadership where you have a CEO or a president or a whomever sitting at the top dictating downward. I want to see us flatten that out
Mhm.
in our villages and our communities. Excuse me, flatten that out, right? And the purpose of the leader is to encourage the circle to bring the medicine, to bring the ideas, to bring the concepts. And then together we say, okay, well, you're really good at building wheels, so I'm gonna have you build the wheels, and you're really good at smithing metal, so can you build the straps? And you're really good at painting, so can you finish the cart when we get done? And then you're really good at driving, so we're going to have you drive the cart. And everybody has a beautiful role, and we enhance and enable each other's skills. We share with each other as it used to be, as it even still is in the Amish community, which has its own fundamental challenges because of its limited dogma. But they do still go, okay, so you're a framer, you're a roofer, you're a wagon guy, you're a horse guy, you're whatever. And I'm going to head down the road to Hofstadter's because I know he's my horse guy, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea that we flatten this leadership out, and the purpose of a leader is to gather and just kind of create a container. And in creating that container, everything that's meant to bubble up comes out of it. And that's the nature of circle. And it's the way that it was done in indigenous communities as well. There were identified shaman, there were tribal leaders, tribal elders, etc., who brought more wisdom, but they didn't negate the voices of everybody else in the process.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we've done that. We've negated the voices of anybody else. I think, things like the office of the president of the United States should be eliminated, in my opinion. That's just my 2 cents on it. And I think I'm not alone in it. Is because that's a very masculine hierarchical structure that negates the community and the nurturing that is desperately needed. This mental health crisis, the challenges we've got with children, everything else needs more nurturing. And I was listening to someone talk about some of the stuff that's going on in Europe. And I agreed with some points, but I strongly disagreed with his point was you can't let women rule because they are swayed by their emotions too much. And so they might make one decision today and then they'll change their emotions and they make a different decision tomorrow. The beauty of that kind of flow is you don't get these rigid dogmatic structures like we've got with the education system that fail to meet the needs of our society now and going forward. Because, we need we need a really different way of looking at things. And we can get that better at a local level. It's a whole lot easier to get and manage. And we need more healers, and we need more shaman, and we need more wise people to engage the community. And that happens better at a grassroots level.
Absolutely. But and it's funny that you end that there with grassroots because as you were talking about this pyramid of leadership and how kind of the leadership at the top, everything rolls downhill. I was thinking, okay, well, it should be more like a tree. And like you said, getting out into your individual communities, you have this little group of branches that branches off over here, and this one over here, and this one over here. And ultimately, there is sort of this central structure or foundation. But if you dig deeper, it's really it's on the roots of the ancestors, it's on the stuff that people have already gone before us and they've already learned these things and they've dug down deep into our collective unconscious kind of psyche, and now we have the opportunity to let that flow through the trunk and out into all of these different branches.
Yeah.
And I think as we start to see more and more of these shamanic groups popping up in different communities, we're going to continue to see radical shifts in those rigid structures that need to be dismantled by these grassroots movements.
Yeah. Completely agree with that. And following that line of thought, the concept that there are specializations within natural medicine and allopathic medicine, it has had its benefit is that hopefully we understand more about those individual systems, but without looking at this, without it in relationship to the whole, we miss a whole lot, right? So the idea that a chiropractor, and I know the chiropractors will I've had this conversation with a chiropractor last week who said chiropractic is the manipulation of the structure, bone structure of the body. Yet she is incorporated other intuitive connections and modalities and geometric healing and energy healing and things like that. She's still doing her core modality. She has enhanced and broadened, and she gets far better outcomes with her clients because she's not limited to a cracked spine. I do this, and move on to the next person. She has these very unique, are not unique, but well, it's unique to the person, right? So very individualized approach. Reiki. Reiki's a brilliant sort of core structural energy working, but can be expanded to include other tools and modalities so that the core of how we work with and manipulate and draw in energy and then draw out things isn't compromised, it is enhanced. And that's true for massage therapists and cranial sacral therapists and acupuncturists and everybody else. So it is, I'm a naturopath by training. For those who don't know, I started out with food supplements and then added detox and hormone balance. And then I went, wait, this isn't even close to everything that I need to have. So I added emotion code and I added Reiki and I added this, that, and the other thing. Woven light healing, which is the modality I created, is a weaving of different things together so that I can meet people where they're at and help them go further. Because what I found was when I was limited to my intellect, which is automatically limited, it's bookended, right? So there's only so much we can have in our intellect. When I was just in my intellect, I could only help so many people so far. And then I would have to refer them out or not help them anymore. They would just leave. Versus let me drop into my intuition. Let me know that though the person needs a diet change, what they need first is emotional healing so the diet change is easier. What they need is to clear out false paradigms and beliefs and structures so that this is easier. So I'm no longer limited to I'm no longer limited to one rigid set of paradigms. I now have a core structure that is enhanced by so many other things. And that's what I would love to share with more people. And that's part of why there's the healer practitioner element, because they're bringing a different perspective. Now, the beautiful part is anybody that comes in under practitioner healer also gets the foundational because they're going to need both, right? Anybody that's in foundational can move into practitioner healer once they realize I want to share this with more people. As you and I both did. I was working as a naturopath, but I went, oh, I got to go further than this, much further than that. So the interplay between the two will be really fun. And the practitioner healers that are in that group will have the opportunity to work with foundational members. So foundation, Alchemy Foundations, those seekers and learners will get the benefit of interacting with many, many different types of healers. Healers will get the benefit of having new audiences and ways to practice modalities and share. So it's going to be super cool to see how they all weave together.
Agreed. I definitely think that being able to have sort of this pool for healers and practitioners to be able to offer their services to, but that also the seekers and learners who are looking for more natural practitioners will have an easier time finding them, because sometimes it's like a needle in a haystack out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that it's important too that we're always adding new modalities and always learning and growing and improving in our own self-awareness and our own journey. So there's always going to be new content. There's always going to be fresh perspectives. And I think we're in agreement too that we like the opportunity to answer questions. And even
Yeah.
if we don't have that answer, we can find that together as a group, as a community, and be able to learn more from each other. It's not just us teaching, it's the whole community coming together. We're just kind of facilitating that.
Yeah. And this will develop into a library over time. So if somebody, this is March of 2025 is when we're recording this conversation. If it's a year later, there's going to be a year's worth of content
Mhm.
for you to begin to, expand immediately, or go back and refer to. So that year's worth of content is going to be super cool. Opportunity to really expand much faster, and step in at whatever speed and pace is comfortable with you. That's the other nice thing is we're not asking you to be us. We're not asking you to be anything other than you. And this is a no judgment zone. As you mentioned, ask questions. There is no dumb question. I think if we sat through looked at all the stuff we've learned, we have asked a lot of what other people might consider dumb questions. But the answers were so enlightening and so absolutely perfect and so exactly what we needed that it was, it was like somebody turned a light bulb on and you go, oh, that makes a lot of sense now. And it comes from places that you don't expect. That's going to be the cool part about the conversations that are going to happen in our group is that it's going to come from who knows what random person who is in this circle that you may or may not have met, which reminds me, we're also talking about in-person retreats, which will be so much fun.
Yeah, I think
I
we
will
need
be in
more
the
of
midst
that.
of waterfalls. So, y'all are come hang out in the waterfalls with me. And we'll find places to do some amazing retreats as well.
We definitely need more of that red tent energy kind of pervading our society a little bit better. No more isolation. Let's get back to community.
No. So once we've got Tarowin up and running, I'll be able to host those retreats in Tennessee. But like I'm planning one in Puerto Rico in the fall. I'm looking at Greece. We're looking at Croatia. We're looking at all these different places to host different retreats. In part because we are a global community. And there are so many beautiful places in the world that have their own healing energy to them. So we want to enhance that piece of it as well.
Excellent. I'm
Yeah.
so excited for that. That's a whole
Me
other
too.
level for me. I'm long overdue for that.
Yes. Yeah, when we do Women Heals Women, which is one of the first retreats that I'll be hosting, and you're coming along too, right?
Where is that? Do you know yet?
It'll probably be Tennessee to start
Okay.
with.
It's been a while since I've been to Tennessee. I think I'll need to come.
Come to Tennessee. It's so pretty there. So the Women Heals Women is going to be the first one, and it's going to be pretty transformative. I can feel the energy of it already, and it's already like come on and just let this all go. Yeah.
Yep, I think I need to be there.
Yes. Come and help. Come and be part of it. Bring the medicine.
You are the medicine.
You are the medicine. You are your own medicine, and others may have medicine for you that you can take and enhance your own. So that's the beauty of community.
That's right.
Yay. So excited.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, good. That's we will have more information out. Check below in the comments here for a link. Send us your email, and then we will make sure that you have we send you the opening of the membership, opening of the circle itself, and you'll come on in. Yay. So excited. All right.